The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Those who are liking, sharing, commenting, I say thank you. And those who are sending me super thanks to support what I am doing, I appreciate you all. May the ancestors continue to bless you. ECOWAS and African Union have finally come out with their response to what the United States of America is doing to Burkina Faso. The president are all in all, the savior, the protector, the unifier, the messiah, the king of kings, the most loved. When East Europe, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, the king of the world and the savior of the world, started the war in Ukraine, Europe came out and spoke. Even Africans who were here, that this thing doesn't concern them. Yes, what is happening in Europe, does it concern you, an African? African leaders came out and spoke. Others were accusing William Ruto, and the president boy in the country called G also came out and told his support to Ukraine. The African leader, when it comes to Yolo Popo, they are masters. They are quick in saying things because they know that when they don't say anything that will please the oppressor, voila for them. So the people of Africa left the problems of Africa, like the country called G, that we have all the amazing land, sat and said they will be importing grains from Ukraine in order to support Ukraine to be able to fight Russia. But when it came to Burkina Faso, this is the 18th time that they've tried to assassinate our all in all, our savior, protector, unifier, the messiah, the comforter, the most loved, Captain Ibrahim Traore. ECOWAS sent the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, recently to go to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. That we are brothers, we are one people, we should look beyond the borders. That is beautiful. John Dramani Mahama gave us a very beautiful speech. You know this democratic letter president, always they give us speech. From there he went to meet the ECOWAS chairman, the Nigerian president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And after whatsoever they discussed, Tinubu left for France. In no time, within some few days or weeks, we saw that the United States of America came out to issue a statement accusing the president of Burkina Faso. So, we were expecting that as we claim that we are brothers and we want them back into the ECOWAS bloc, by now, they will speak up.
Word. We need to move away from this. And as we do, we need also to ensure that in the future, any change that must be effected is not dependent on or driven by or triggered by crisis. Because these crises, as we learn, sound in human lives and livelihoods. We need to mobilize, as President Kagame urges upon us, domestic finance for our health care. We need, in the process of so doing, to avoid falling into the trap wherein governments pride themselves in the universal provision of standardized, low-quality goods and services. We need to provide quality health care for our people. And we need to make the points to the private sector as well that they need workers, they need skills. And these skills must be provided by healthy, vibrant workers whose health and vitality must become as much their concern as the private sector as it is the concern of the governments. And so it seems to me that the partnership isn't escapable. It presents itself, it obtrudes, it pushes itself forward. Because if the private sector doesn't take its rightful place next to government, they run the risk at some point of not having the kind of workforce that they need to power their industries and to drive their profit valorization. And so it seems to me that the case is makes itself eminently for this partnership between governments and the private sector. We also need to appreciate, and I've seen it in Botswana, young professionals in the institutions of learning engaging in vigorous subjacent experimentation. One told me, went around in the most far-flung areas of the country and interviewed old people and asked them, you don't have a clinic in your area, but children have been born here. You've raised healthy families in this area. How did you do it? And he was referred to local medicine men who were using local plants and herbs. And he says he's now taking some of these and he's testing them, and he has established that some of them carry some serious potency in relation to some of these critical conditions. So we need to also harness indigenous knowledge and learning, engaged in research and development of these plants and herbs that are found so abundantly in our countries, on our continent.
Your Excellency Mustafa Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Sheikh Shabot Al Nahyan, Minister of State of the UAE, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Your Excellency Dr. Workina Gabayo, Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, Honorable Ministers, distinguished heads of international and regional organizations, members of the diplomatic community, invited guests. I warmly welcome you to this high-level conference on the humanitarian situation in the Sudan. Allow me to extend my gratitude to the United Nations for its cooperation on this collective effort that brings us together today. I also appreciate the briefers for sharing critical insights into the needs on the ground. This high-level gathering underscores our shared recognition of the urgency of Sudanese humanitarian crisis and reaffirms our collective responsibility to respond decisively and with purpose. As a close neighbor and sister nation, Ethiopia stands in solidarity with the people of Sudan. During these challenging times, our two countries are deeply interdependent, bound by generations of shared struggles, aspirations, and cultural ties. Over the past 6 years, Ethiopia has actively supported Sudanese peace and stability and contributed to its economic endeavors by providing electricity through a dedicated transmission line. Sudan is a nation of abundance, blessed with fertile land and natural resources, capable of feeding millions beyond its borders. In times of relative peace, it has witnessed significant development and growth. However, since April 2023, conflict has inflicted immense suffering, causing widespread displacement and destruction. We are here today because Sudan's humanitarian needs have reached an unprecedented scale. This crisis is not just Sudanese. It is a regional and a global concern, impacting lives, livelihoods, and stability across the Horn of Africa and beyond. Global solidarity is essential to ensure the Sudanese people receive food, clean water, basic health care, including vaccines and medicines, and protection against violence. As the holy month of Ramadan approaches, urgent action is required, not just in words, but through tangible commitments to elevate suffering. Ethiopia will continue to stand with Sudan in its time of need, sharing from our limited resources and maintaining an open door policy for Sudanese seeking refuge. We urge donors, international organizations, and the private sector to increase their contributions and help bridge the severe resource gap faced by humanitarian actors. Despite our own challenges, we firmly believe that a neighbor in need is a neighbor indeed. Therefore, Ethiopia pledges a modest contribution of 15 million USD in solidarity with the people of the Sudan. Beyond this immediate assistance, the crisis demands an urgent political solution, as peace is a foundation for lasting recovery. We call upon all stakeholders to intensify efforts toward dialogue and a peaceful resolution. Having had the honor of supporting Sudan's peace process in 2019, I can personally attest to the wisdom and resilience of the Sudanese people. With determination and coordinated effort, Sudan's trajectory can be reversed toward peace. On this basis, I urge all Sudanese stakeholders to choose peace and guide their nation toward unity and prosperity. Ethiopia fully supports a Sudanese-led, Sudanese-owned, and inclusive peace process. We also endorse the African Union Commission and the UN Secretary General's efforts to streamline initiatives and establish a single, effective platform for peace in Sudan. I commend our partners, the African Union, IGAD, the UN, and the UAE for their collaboration in hosting this conference. I also would like to extend my gratitude to my dear brother, Dr. William Ruto, for taking time and gracing this important summit. I also extend my gratitude to all stakeholders, prioritizing Sudan and pledging resources to support its humanitarian efforts. I thank you.
Your Excellency, for those profound and inspiring words. It is also my honor to invite His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, Your Excellency Shabut, Your Excellency Musa Faki, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The conflict in Sudan, now in the 22nd month, has devastated a nation that just 4 years ago was on a promising path towards stability and self-sufficiency. Tragically, Sudan's progress towards food security, once exemplified by record wheat harvests and sugarcane plantations, some of which I had the occasion to visit when I served as Minister for Agriculture. All that has been reversed, leaving over half the population of Sudan food insecure and millions at the brink of hunger. This crisis is worsened by the massive displacement of millions, with an estimated 11 million people forced to flee their homes. The collapse of healthcare systems, the spread of preventable diseases, and the deterioration of medical infrastructure have further deepened humanitarian emergency. The crisis' regional impact is equally severe as neighboring countries are struggling with overstretched social services due to the growing refugee crisis. This situation demands urgent regional and global intervention. Any discussion of the humanitarian crisis in Sudan must acknowledge that this is a man-made disaster. It is deeply regrettable that the dire humanitarian situation in Sudan stems from a political crisis that has escalated into prolonged and senseless armed conflict. The obstruction of humanitarian access by parties to the conflict is simply unacceptable. We call upon all involved to facilitate unrestricted access for humanitarian convoys and healthcare workers, and to allow the resumption of agricultural activity in areas under their control. Your Excellencies, our presence here today reaffirms our unwavering solidarity with the people of Sudan. It is incumbent upon all of us, member states and people of goodwill, alike to support ongoing efforts towards a peaceful resolution while addressing the urgent humanitarian needs of those affected by this conflict, especially women and children. Only through collective commitment and decisive action can we help restore stability and hope for a peaceful future in Sudan. Kenya continues to urge the warring parties to recognize that a military solution, if any, will not and has never brought sustainable peace. We encourage all Sudanese stakeholders to commit to a political resolution through genuine and inclusive dialogue. We continue in Kenya to provide a platform for different actors, political groups, civil society groups, to forge agreement, consensus on the way forward. And as a steadfast advocate for peace, Kenya, alongside IGAD, remains fully prepared to support and facilitate efforts towards a negotiated settlement. It is also imperative that we work together to alleviate the suffering of our Sudanese brothers and sisters. At the Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Sudan held in Paris,
if there is nobody that will speak, we're expecting that country called G, the leader who said they are his brothers, to stand up and defend Captain Ibrahim Traore. But no African leader came out and said, Okumamba, Abba, Halong Bagbafo. The way you spoke beautifully in African Union Summit just some few months ago. You said we are one people. We should unite. We should stand up for ourselves. We should be each other's keeper. Today they are targeting your own brother and you are quiet. But you have the strength, every power in you to talk about Ukraine and Russia war. Africans, aren't you ashamed of yourselves as leaders, as you call yourselves? ECOWAS, you know that Alassane Ouattara is the one France is using against Captain Ibrahim Traore. But during your 50th summit that you just held, we were thinking that you call your brother and tell your brother what you did is wrong. Do not do it. Yet in your summit, you all came out and told us how we should unite. Do Africans know what unity is? Can we unite when we are selling our brothers out? African leaders have all kept quiet. None of them could stand up and defend Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. We are all watching the United States of America to do everything that they have done to all the freedom fighters of Africa. When we finish, we sit down as a people and say how we love ourselves, how we should unite. The African leader unity is only in speech and not in action. And that is what the West wants us. That is what Yellow Papa is looking for, and our leaders always give to them. Why won't they do this to you when they have everything of yours in their palm? Captain Ibrahim Traore said, if you don't have anything to hide, why will you be paying every month for Yellow Papa to always watch your image? What do the African leader have to hide? African Union, ECOWAS, SADC, EAC, and all these blocks, they are all useless. If you can never unite and defend your brother, the United States of America is targeting to take out like Gaddafi, like they did to John Magufuli, then all of you should be ashamed of yourselves. Now we know that all you do is speak. You can never stand up and defend yourselves. If we should follow you, Africa will be backwards 100 times than what we are seeing. Now that we need African Union to act, African Union is silent. We the youth, like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, we don't understand why we have all the mineral resources, all the riches are in Africa, yet we are poor. These people brought in a narrative that Africa is poor so that we will keep running out. So they design systems like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, the scholarships that they give to us are to take us out. It's you, the youth, that will rise up and fight them to protect your mineral resources. So when they take you out and leave the old ones, who will fight? Each time they want to target our leaders that are protecting us, they use our own kind, the African Americans. And Michael Langley is the first black man to be risen to that position called general. They gave him that position because they know the agenda. His is to come and eliminate Captain Ibrahim Traore, but it will not work. They use Barack Obama. So each time they give any African black American a higher position, then they have an agenda for him to come and execute in Africa. Like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, anybody that will stand on the revolution that we are in today in Africa, we don't care whether you are in our skin type, we'll fight you. You may say you are carrying out your duties, but we don't care. We will not allow you to use your duty to eliminate the future and the struggle of Africa. Homeland or death. Shame on African Union and all the African leaders who claimed in their African summit. All of you spoke about unity, how we should stand up and defend ourselves, how we should protect each other, and how we should see beyond the colonial borders. But today you are here. They left their continent and they are invading Africa, and all of you are silent. Like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, the Ghanaian is very slow to anger, but when we finally rise up, nobody will be able to stop us. That is who the African is. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world.